What's going on, everybody? Ski Profit here. It's been a while since I hopped on the YouTube channel, but I'm excited for NBA. I don't know about you guys. I know we just had a little bit of NBA, but I'm excited to get going again. And of course, seeing LeBron extend and Anthony Davis extend, I want to come talk a little bit. So I'll talk about some win totals. I look at all the teams in the league. I'll talk about who I think is going to be an over team, who I think is going to be an under team. I look at the schedule, the opening day schedule, Christmas Day schedule a little bit maybe, and talk about who's going to win the East, who's going to win the West, and whatever else you guys want to talk about. If anybody has any questions or wants to talk about any of these teams or games, shoot me a message in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer. So, first team I want to talk about is the Hawks. That's the team I'm most excited for. I think they made a lot of significant moves, and now it's not just relying on Trey Young to be a scorer. I like Bogdanovich over there. Last year, they didn't have a healthy Collins to start the year. Now they're going to have Collins. They didn't have Capella for majority of the year. I like him over there as well. I like the Hawks to go over their win total. I think the Hawks can make a little noise. Not saying they're going to do anything crazy, but I like them to win some games this year. Their win total is 35 and a half, and I think that's a pretty solid look right there. I know they're in the division with the Miami Heat, but I mean I know the Heat are superior, but I expect Atlanta to make some noise this year. That's the team I'm most excited for, and I'm expecting Atlanta. Like I said, they can score points. I'm expecting them to be an over team. I know Capella brings a little bit of defense, but in general, I don't see a lot of defensive guys on that roster, and I'm expecting them to be an over team this year. So I'm excited to watch Atlanta play. That's the number one team I'm most excited for. Next on the list, I mean, of course, I'm not going to go too far without mentioning the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm definitely excited for this year. I think the roster is better than it was last year. I thought we had a pretty good roster last year, but this year's roster um, is even better. The thing I'll say though about their win total, I'm not sure that all of these guys are going to necessarily care to start the year, especially since they just finished playing. I think we'll see maybe LeBron rest a little bit. We might see Anthony Davis rested a little bit, but I'm not quite sure that you get their best effort to begin the season. And I think their win total might be a little bit too high. I love them still in the playoffs. I love them this year. I just think they give some of the other guys time off and they get some of these new guys used to each other. Like let Dennis Schroeder play a little more than he might be used to in the playoffs. Let Montrez play a little bit more. Just let everybody get used to their flow and their role. And I think 47 and a half wins is a little bit too much. I mean, the season is cut down to 72 games. I don't think the Lakers necessarily are going to care about the season that much. And I think they'll rest a little bit more than other teams. So I like under that 47 and a half. But I do expect the Lakers to do a little something in the West. I'll talk about that later. I'll continue the win totals for now. Next on the list that I have that I'm excited for, I like the Grizzlies. This was a really young team, and I know Jaren Jackson Jr. is hurt. I don't think he's going to start the year for them, but as soon as he comes back, I expect them to win some games. Last year, they were in a lot of games. They had some close games. They just didn't know how to win, and that's what you get with the young team. But I see you see John Morant tweet out year two. I'm expecting them to take a step forward, and their win total is only 30 and a half. I think that's a solid look towards the over for the Grizzlies. And as far as over or under team, if I have to think about that for the Grizzlies, I think they'll be an under team for sure until JJJ comes back. Once he comes back, I can see a shift towards more of an over team because they'll have another scorer out there to help out. But until then, I'm not looking to bet Grizzlies games over. And I didn't talk about the Lakers as an over and under team, but I expect the Lakers to. I mean, last year they were more of a defensive team. They played more towards unders, and this year I think I don't know if the defense is as good, but the offense for sure is. And when LeBron James is off the floor, Anthony Davis is off the floor, the offense is not going to stall like it probably did last year. Dennis Schroeder and Montrez, I think they'll be just like how Trez and Lou Will were for the Clippers. I think we'll get that same kind of deal for the Lakers. And I don't think the scoring drop off will be too much at all. I think they'll be able to put up points. And for that reason, I mean, I like the over as far as for them to be an over team. So that's the way I think about the Lakers and the Sixers. This is a team I'm high on this year. I know I got some questions. I'll answer the questions that I got in 1 second. I got some of them on Twitter that I want to answer, but I'm high on the Sixers team. Um, a lot of people, I mean, I've been one of them, talking about Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, if they can work together or not. And I mean, they have that spacing back again. They were really good when they had JJ Redick out there to space the floor and make up for some of their disadvantages. I'll say, be nice about it for Ben Simmons in particular. But now they have that spacing again. They got a couple of guys who can shoot. The floor is going to be wide open. And that, in my opinion, was the problem in the playoffs. Yeah, the problem is also that Ben can't shoot. But if his supporting cast is good enough for him, I think they'll be good. And they've been a regular season team anyway. The season win total is at 43.5. I think they'll definitely go over that. I can see them winning a decent amount of games this year. And they got a new coach. Their coach was trash. Brett Brown was garbage. Not saying Doc Rivers is the best guy in the world, but I like Doc. I mean, I like Doc over there for them. And Maury, he's making good moves for the Sixers as far as personnel. I think the Sixers make some noise in the East, and I think they'll also be an over team. They like to play with pace. Ben Simmons will play with pace, and they added those shooters. So I expect them to be an over team as well. And I'll talk about the Celtics just for a little bit. I don't really want to talk too long about them because the main look on the Celtics is just they go as Kemba goes. Yes, their players are Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, but they're not really going to make significant noise unless Kemba's healthy. And we already see he's not healthy to start the season. So I just look at them and I don't like their depth on their roster. I think 44.5 might be too much wins for them, but they can maybe flourish in the regular season. I don't think they'll make much noise in the playoffs once again. And I was looking at the Wizards, and I was saying for their win total to go under, maybe they'll get a few more wins now that they have Russell Westbrook actually playing. I wasn't sure if John Wall would play or not, but one thing is for sure, the Wizards are not going to play defense. And because of that, I definitely expect the Wizards to be an over team. And I know they'll play with pace. Russ is always going to play with pace. If he's going to be good or not, I'll let you decide. But they're going to be a fast team, and they're not going to play much defense. So that's another team I like for an over. And I'll look at some of these. I'll look at some of these questions that I got from Twitter and answer them. As soon as here goes one of them right here. So let me just pull them up. What are your early thoughts on most improved player who makes a big jump this year after his time in the bubble? Jamal Murray, maybe Malik Beasley, OG Anunoby. Jamal Murray is probably the favorite. It's a little bit early for most improved player. If I had to pick right now, Jamal Murray is probably the favorite because I've seen him. His game continues to improve every single year, and he's going to be asked to do a lot this year. We saw what he can do in the bubble. I know bubble basketball is a little bit different than every season basketball, but I think he'll definitely continue to improve his game. So if I have to pick this early, that's who I would go with. And next question, Dennis Schroeder in LA, does he start? I think Matthews has to start for his length and defense, leaves KCP or Dennis Schroeder. And also he asked me what teams do I see as an over and under squad. Well, I've been kind of answering that. He said he sees Washington being a high-paced team, and I agreed with that. Washington's on my list. They're going to have pace, especially with Russ at it, and no defense, as I said. And for who's going to start in LA, in my personal opinion, this is my thing. Like I said about the Lakers, I think we'll see a lot of resting. If we're talking later in the season or who I think should start in general, I'm going to go with LeBron James, KCP, Kuzma, Anthony Davis, and Marc Gasol. That's who I think should start. I like the idea of Schroeder and Trez off the bench together to replace LeBron and Anthony Davis. I think that makes our bench unit a lot better than it was last year. I think they'll be able to create points, and that's I like Schroeder best in that role. Uh, I will say though, to start the year, like I said, I think LeBron will rest, and in that scenario, I like Dennis Schroeder to start because that's our other playmaker. If LeBron's not on the floor, I definitely like Dennis Schroeder in the starting lineup. So keep an eye out. I think LeBron will rest a good amount. Next question I'm going to answer, big if, but if Simmons comes around and finally develops a jumper and Embiid stays healthy, how do you like the Sixers to win the East with Doc leading the way? And I did agree. I mean, I talked about the Sixers a little bit, but I like the Sixers in the East this year. Majority, the big reason why, because they have spacing now. They got Seth Curry, guy shoots 40% from three for his career. I don't know if people know how hard that is to do. There's not that many players doing it. And put that besides Ben Simmons, the guy who struggles with his jump shot, and Embiid and the team who just struggle with spacing, that's huge. They shouldn't have got rid of JJ Redick, so that's huge for them to have that spacing again. I think they'll be really good. They got rid of their trash can coach. And in the East, I really only see three threats. I'll just get into the East now. I only see three threats. And those three teams are the Sixers. And to win the East, they're plus 900. The Miami Heat, to win the East, they are plus 625. And the Nets, they're plus 300. And so I'm counting out the Bucks. I like the Bucks if they would have got the Bogdanovich trade, but I don't like them. I don't think they fixed their issues. I think you can still defend them the same way in the playoffs. And I said that the Celtics, they go as Kemba goes. So if Kemba's not healthy, I don't think the Celtics are going to go too far, and he's not trending towards being too healthy. That's the reason for that. And the Nets, if I have to talk about them really quick, yeah, they're really good on paper, but we'll see how the chemistry works out. And at the end of the day, they have to stay healthy. And I think it's a tough ask for them to just come out and really win their first year together. I know that's the kind of expectation, but I do think they can make it to the conference final. But I just want to see some chemistry, and you have to think about if they can stay healthy. Um, KD coming off the injury, Kyrie's had some injuries as well, so that's what I think about the Nets and the Heat. They got even better. They have depth. I know they'll play defense. They have a great coach. I probably would pick the Heat over the Nets, plus 625 to win the East. And I also think the Sixers can challenge as well. So those are the only, honestly, three teams I'm looking at. Next person asks, what are my expectations for the Nets? I kind of just talked about that already. My expectations personally are for them to make the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't necessarily think that they'll win. I don't think they'll be they cruise through the year. I think they have to stay healthy and get some chemistry going. And that's the only questions I have so far from Twitter. I see Ethan in the chat. He said he likes the Hornets in the East. Well, I don't know if you're asking me about the Hornets, but I like LaMelo. I don't know if the Hornets will be too good. I think they'll be an over team, if anything. I don't know that they'll play too much defense. Do you think that Gordon Hayward signing was trash? That's what he says. That's what he's asking. Yes, I do. I think they gave him too much money. I understand maybe they want to put people in the seats, but that's not a guy who's been healthy for a couple of years now. And I don't think you pay him that much money for those many years with what we've seen from him lately in his career. Next, I'll talk about the rest of these over teams. I think I mentioned majority of them. We had the Wizards, we have the Hawks, we have the Lakers, and we have the Sixers. The Clippers. I don't like the Clippers in general. I think they'll have the same problems that they had last year, which is their chemistry honestly would probably be better. That was the main problem. But they still can't defend bigs like Jokic and Anthony Davis at the end of the day. It's good for them to get Ibaka, but they're going to have trouble defending those guys, and those are the guys they have to grow through in the playoffs. I think they'll have a better regular season than the Lakers. That I probably can concede to. But other than that, I don't like the second unit. The second unit, I don't see a lick of defense on there. And if you're not playing defense, I don't see you winning too many games. So I don't like. I like the Clippers to go over. I know their starting unit can score, and if their second unit is not playing any defense, that sounds like over to me. Um, Next team, I have a comment here. I'm a Blazer fan, rooting for an upset. What do you think about Portland this year with the additions this offseason, top four in the West? I don't know that I can put them that high as far as top four in the West. The West is a pretty strong conference, but I do think the Blazers make the playoffs. I know some people are not seeing them making the playoffs. I think I would put them at 7, or at the highest would probably be 6 for me. But I mean, I like their additions. They got some big men. They got Covington to play a little defense on some of these guys that they couldn't defend. But the guards are. I love Lillard. He's my number 2 favorite player. But the guards are too small and they can't defend. They can score, but they can't defend. And I'm not a big fan of teams that can't defend. And with that said, I think the Blazers continue to put up points and be an over team this year in the playoffs. Another team that I think made some good moves, let me put it up really quick, is the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I mean, they're putting some guys around D'Lo and Anthony Towns. They drafted Edwards. They still have a Kogi. D'Lo got his boy Hollis Jefferson. I think they have a lot of talent on this team. Are they going to be in the playoffs or anything? Probably not. But I think they're going to be a team that's fun to watch. Hopefully, a team that can put it together and win some games. I know they're going to play with pace. It's going to be a lot of offense from them and not so much defense. So I'm looking for the T Wolves to be a fun team to watch and an over team definitely this year. I'm hoping that the young team will put it together and win some games, though. And I talked about majority of the over teams already. Under teams, we've had a trade move since I thought about this one, but I was looking at the Rockets, and my thinking process is just, if I don't know if James Harden will be there, but if he is there, and we'll see what John Wall brings. John Wall will probably bring pace and help everybody else score around him, but I don't know that John Wall can stay healthy. And honestly, I probably would look at a Rockets win total under. I didn't pull it up, but I probably would look at Rockets under. Harden, he's going to dribble the clock out. He's going to ISO. He's going to do his own thing, kill the clock, and continue to go under, in my personal opinion. I talked about the Grizzlies. I think they'll be an under team until JJJ comes back. And once he comes back, all bets are off. And the Pelicans, I think they'll finally change. Not that they'll necessarily be so great defensively. I just think they're going to struggle to score on offense. I don't love their team. I used to love like the thought of their team, at least. They didn't necessarily live up to it. But their spacing is just terrible. Steven Adams, Zion, Eric Bledsoe, who can shoot? Ingram, okay. Lonzo Ball, I don't know. I don't see how you're going to score that many points with this team. Yes, they'll probably play with pace, and they're not going to be so great defensively. Eric Bledsoe's okay defensively. Lonzo is a good defender. Maybe they will start to become just a defensive team, because I don't see the offense working out with no space on that team. So I like them to be more of an under team, and I don't like them to make much noise this year. I think they missed the playoffs this year. Well, we know I got a question. Which 8 teams out west you see making the playoffs? I think the Blazers make it. If I have to go through it, Lakers, Nuggets, Mavs, Clippers. It's hard without seeing the list. I said Blazers, Suns, that's 6, and Utah, that's 7. And I'm missing one team that should probably already be in there, and I can't remember which one I missed, but that's generally who I like. The other one is like a clear cut. They're already in, I believe. So Denver. Yeah, Denver. So I think that's 8 teams right there. And honestly, in the West, I think the Lakers are going to win again. I know you guys know I'm a Laker guy, but not just being a fan, I think the team really, really got better as far as like not having droughts scoring offensively, and I think they'll still be solid defensively. Who are the threats for the Lakers in the West? Not the Clippers. And for the reason I said before, they can't defend Anthony Davis. And if you can't do that, Lakers are going to find a way to win. The only threats I see for the Lakers are the Nuggets and the Mavericks. I think the Mavericks have a really solid team. I like their pickup of Josh Richardson. Um, I think he'll help them play a little defense finally. I know they lost Seth Curry, but he adds that defense to their team. And as long as Porzingis is healthy, I expect Dallas to make some noise again in the West. We know Luka's great. I think he's the favorite right now as far as the MVP race at plus 440. So I like the Mavs, but I like the Nuggets also. We saw what the Nuggets could do. I think they lost a couple of pieces, a couple of guards maybe, but I still think they can. Oh, they lost Grant too. I don't like that. Grant was big on their team. Without Grant, I don't see them defending some of these guys like LeBronish type guys. So that may hurt them a little bit. But those are the only two guys, only two teams I see competing out west. Who do I think takes the big step forward? Um, Hawks, like I said, I already talked about them. They made a lot of upgrades to their team. The Suns, Chris Paul over there is a big help. He's going to make everything easier for everybody else. Devin Booker won't have to work so hard to get his points. Ayton will get some easy baskets. Everybody will benefit from Chris Paul there. Of course, the Nets. How could you not getting KD and Kyrie? Sixers, I think they take a big step forward. They finally got a better coach. They got some spacing with their shooters. So I think they do. And the question mark is on the T-Wolves. They have the talent, in my opinion, to do it. It's just they're really young, and we'll see if they put it together. Who takes that step back? I talked about the Pelicans. I'm not a fan of their roster setup. And until unless people magically become shooters, I expect them to take a step back. And of course, OKC, they lost CP3, they lost Schroeder. Those are two big losses for them. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. I don't think they're going to be that good of a team. I know they're good covering against the spread last year. I don't know how good they'll be against the spread this year. We'll see, though. Talked about a lot of this stuff already. Opening night, just really quick looking at the games. Golden State and Brooklyn. I probably expect – I don't see Golden State playing much defense out the gate. We'll see. And I don't see Brooklyn playing much defense at all. I think they'll both score. That's what the first thing is to come to my mind. This is not official picks or I'm just going through the games and giving you my opinion on them really quick. And Lakers and Clippers, I talked about them both being over teams this year, in my opinion. The Clippers second unit, no defense, and the Lakers second unit won't stall offensively. That's what I think. So I probably like that game to go over, but I'm wary of every game right now with the Lakers. Who's going to actually play and start and care or rest is what I'm thinking. Bulls under 29 wins as a question. I would probably tend to agree. I don't think they're going to change, and they have 10 less games. I think they didn't even win 29 last year with 82 games, so I don't think they improved too much either. Looking at the Christmas Day games, Pelican and Heat, like I said, I think the Pelicans are going to struggle to score. I think they're going to become an under team this year, finally. I think they might still play with pace, but their spacing is just not good. I don't see it. If nobody's knocking down shots, how do you score? It's so easy to defend. It's regular season, so we'll see. Some teams won't show up every night, but on Christmas Day against a Miami Heat team that has that depth, has that defense, I don't know, man. Smells like an under to me. We'll see. Golden State and the Bucks. Once again, I think the Bucks are going to play with pace. Warriors probably play with pace. I don't see either team really being too great defensively. I don't think anybody's going to stop Steph Curry. I don't see anybody stopping Giannis. It looks like an overgame on that one to me. It's just looking at the game. I don't even have the numbers or anything yet. It's just my opinion from when I look at it. Nets and Celtics, that one is kind of tougher for me. I tend to lean towards the Nets because it'll be their second game. Maybe they'll get it together by then. And Kemba won't be playing for the Celtics. That's another thing. I still don't see That one's one I probably just don't have a strong opinion on. I just lean towards the Nets. The Mavs and the Lakers, like I said, I'm wary of betting the Lakers early. LeBron would probably play on Christmas Day, but it just still makes me nervous. I think the Mavs are a great team. I talked about they're one of the only threats for the Lakers. And on Christmas Day, I expect them to show up too. If it's a big enough spread, like seven, above six for sure, then I start to look at it and then look towards the Mavs side. And I think they'll both score points. I think the Mavs maybe are not so high on the over this year because they lost a couple of, like they lost Seth Curry, that 40% 3-point shooting on his career, and he doesn't play that much defense. He's an okay defender, but not like a Josh Richardson who's going to really up their defense. But I still think they score points. We'll see. And the Lakers, like I said, I'm expecting them to be an over team, so I lean towards the over there. Clippers and Nuggets, I think it's going to be. I mean, that's the rematch game, right? Clippers should be pissed. If they're going to show that they're a legit team, they have to come out here and smoke the Nuggets. So I would lean towards the Clippers just because, I mean, pride, man. You got to show something. After you just gave up the 3-1 lead, you have to show something. And I think it's going to be more of a defensive game. I mean, we saw the Nuggets kind of go more towards unders when Gary Harris came back, and they're capable of playing some defense. I think that game will be more of like a playoff type game, and maybe it'll be more of an under. That's just my opinions on the early slate. If I have to say, um, rookie of the year, maybe I'd look at situation. I don't think Edwards is in the best situation to be rookie of the year. I think I'd have to give that to LaMelo as far as situation. He's going to have the green light to do whatever he wants. Edwards still has D'Lo. He has Karl Anthony Towns. He has players who are eating beside him over there. It's really just honest. I mean, LaMelo has Gordon Hayward and I'm blanking out. It's another point guard who was almost most improved last year. Um, I can't even think about his name right now, but he has some people, but he generally has the green light there. And I like Hayes for Detroit. I think he's a really good guard. He's probably one of the better players in the draft, in my opinion. And LaMelo at plus 400, Hayes at plus 800, probably the two ways I look. MVP, yeah, thank you for reminding me, Ethan. Graham, that's exactly what I'm talking about for the Hornets. Um, MVP, I'm going to go. I mean, these are the options that I'm seeing that. Well, first of all, I'm going to rule out LeBron James because I think he's going to rest a lot, and I think that will affect how people view him for MVP in the regular season. And Giannis, I don't think he's going to win again. I don't think he deserved to necessarily win it last year. So I definitely don't think those two are the ways I'm looking. And after that, the prices that I see that even catch my eye at all, Doncic is plus 440. He definitely has a chance if he can keep this Mavs team strong. Um, he has a good chance. Anthony Davis, plus 750. He should probably rest too, though. And if the thing is, if he doesn't, or maybe he rests and still could get it because he's so good on defense. So I look at him plus 750. Steph Curry plus 750 is a way I'm looking as well. I mean, he hasn't played in a while. He was a unanimous MVP. He should have something to prove here, and he's going to have the green light. I mean, he doesn't have to even share really between Clay. He has other guys like Wiggins over there, but it should be the Steph show for the most part. And I look at Lillard, but I don't think he's going to be bubble Lillard and sustain that for an entire season. So I kind of cross him off at plus 2,200. It catches my eye, but I kind of don't think it's going to happen. And Harden, where is he even going to be? And what is the team going to look like? We'll see if any of these teams translate to wins like Steph. If Steph can make his team win, I think he'll definitely win MVP. Lillard, same deal. And Harden, I don't think I'm sold on Harden anymore. Now, if I have to pick one of these guys, I probably will be AD or Steph at plus 750. They both are plus 750. And that's really all I had to talk to you guys about. So I'll wrap it up unless I see any last minute questions. I'm excited for NBA. NBA bubble. I'm happy to be out of the bubble. Be back to kind of normal basketball. NBA pre-bubble, we're hitting pretty good. Bubble wasn't so great for me. But outside of the bubble, we're hitting close to 58% on like 150 plays. And on the sides, even in the bubble and before the bubble, last like 61, we're hitting about 62.3%. So let's get back to NBA. Let's make some money. Good luck to everybody. And we'll be talking again soon.